Well, as day 4 of competition gets underway in London, it is a big day for the women's gymnastics team. Today, they'll compete together for the chance to win Olympic gold.
So when they take the floor, what will the judges be looking for, and just how will their scores work? For that, we're joined this morning by Shane Usen from Grand Rapids Gymnastics. Good morning, Shane. How are you?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
We're well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us this morning and getting the kids up early, too. You have a whole group of girls back there, huh?
Yeah, they always turn out for gymnastics.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, Shane, the question here obviously is how can we be experts when we're watching the gymnastics that are going to be happening today with the girls team? What should we be looking at specifically to know if they had a good day or not?
There's several things you should be looking for. I think the first and foremost is execution. That's how well the skills are done. Do they bend their knees or do they not point their toes, things like that. Of course, there's the landing, the stick. Some other things that you might not think about: rhythm, how well the routine is put together. Do the skills flow together, and does it have a nice appeal to the audience, and certain things like that.
Shane, can you comment on the dedication that goes into making an Olympic gymnast?
A little bit. We don't have Olympians here, but when these kids show up at 5 o'clock, they're obviously dedicated to their sport, and when you're training for something at that high a level, usually the athletes are training very early in the morning, and then they'll come back in the evening for another practice time.
You don't have any Olympians right now, but that doesn't mean you might not someday.
Oh no, that's the goal.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Shane, let's talk about Jordan Weber here real quick, because obviously she's going to be competing with the team now today. How did she come off that devastating loss when she came in fourth and is not going to be able to play or not going to be able to perform here in the individuals?
Yeah, you know, she's a tough kid, and she's been doing this all her life. She's a competitor, and I think you're going to see her bounce back tonight and contribute for the team.
All good stuff. All right.
Very good.
Hey, Shane, we're going to chat with you in about half an hour from now. We'll talk again a little bit about what we can expect to see in the women's gymnastics competitions later on today. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you at about 5:45.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
All right.
We'll head now to 24-Hour News 8's Tom Hillen, who's live in Cascade Township again this morning. Hi, Tom.
Well, good morning, Emily. You said it. Disappointing for the men, but tonight it's all about the women. I want to show you something. Maybe one of the most difficult acts for women is the balance beam. I want to show you why. This is Sabrina. She's 13 years old. And notice that her foot already goes over the edge of this balance beam. It's only 4 inches wide. And that is why this is one of the most difficult events for the women. And just remember that when you're watching them do flips and handstands and all sorts of different tricks tonight. Remember, the beam is only 4 inches wide. Now, the women were #1 coming out of their trials, and if they do well and place first, they will be only the 2nd American women's team in history to win an Olympic gold. NBC's coverage is going to start at 8 o'clock tonight. Now, we do know this morning which events Jordan Weber from DeWitt will be doing. You're going to see her on the vault, the uneven bars, and the floor exercise. The only thing she won't be on is the balance beam. Now, Team USA, again, #1 coming out of their qualifying round. But as we saw last night, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, given that the men were also #1 and ended up 5th. The team's biggest competition today is going to be against the Russians. Team USA and Russia have been going back and forth for a while now. They split the last 2 world team titles as well as the last 2 all-around titles. So it's going to be another great day, a great competition for the Olympics tonight. We're going to be keeping a close eye on Jordan Weber. She did tweet already this morning saying that she's very excited about today's team competition. Again, that coverage is starting at 8 o'clock tonight on NBC. Reporting live in Cascade Township, Tom Hillen, 24-Hour News 8.
And done very well. Of course, those are much more appealing to the audience, so therefore the judges take that into consideration. Again, landings and different bar transitions, going from one bar to the other bar, and just how well the routine is done execution-wise as well.
One of the most dramatic things to watch in gymnastics, in my opinion, is the floor exercise. Talk about that. What can we expect tonight?
Floor exercise is going to be very dynamic. The USA has a couple of the best girls on floor exercise, and you know, the tumbling and the height of the tumbling, and again, just how well the skills are done and what the routines are composed of.
Which of the events, yesterday you were saying that for the men it was a pommel horse that was the most difficult. Which for the women is the most difficult, do you believe?
Oh gosh, you know, I believe that the most difficult has got to be the balance beam. I mean, after all, it is 4 inches wide and it's kind of made to fall off of, actually.
Yeah.
Designed for that, huh?
I would have guessed that. Coach Shane, next half hour we want to talk to you about what parents can look out for in their kids to see if they may have Olympic potential for gymnastics. So we'll check back in with you.
All right, thank you
so much, Shane. We appreciate your time. See you about 6:45 this morning.
Day 4 of the Olympic Games is happening right now in London. And the U.S. women's gymnastics team, they'll be back on the floor today and balance beam and bars and vaults, competing in the team competition.
And this morning we're learning a little bit more about what you need to know about gymnastics, and in particular what you need to know about your kids. Do they have what it takes to be a gymnast? Michigan Coach of the Year, Shane Houston, joins us now live with what you need to be watching out for. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning.
Hey, last half hour, we talked a little bit about what you need to be looking out for on the floor and when you're watching this competition tonight, how you can be a good judge of it yourself, an expert, so to speak, from your own living room. But the question now, Shane, is what do you need to know about your own kids? When you see a child walk into that gym, how do you know if they're ready to be a gymnast?
From a coaching standpoint, I think the #1 thing is you look at their parents. Genetics plays a big role in whether or not your child is going to be good at a particular sport. For instance, the NBA is not knocking down my door, but you know, and also the energy, and you look for characteristics that our elite athletes have, and of course, once they grow up, hopefully you've developed some of those things, and you know, with conditioning and flexibility and whatnot, and go from there.
Coach Shane, talk about the excitement surrounding the Olympics. Have you seen more girls and boys coming to your gym looking to get involved in gymnastics?
Yeah, actually we have, and the Olympics plays a big role for facilities like ours because, you know, every time the Olympics comes around, it kind of puts the focus back on gymnastics, and families and kids think, yeah, I either want to try that or I want to go back to it. So it's good for us.
And I imagine your child doesn't have to be an Olympian. They have a lot that can be gained just by being in gymnastics, whether they have the genetics or not.
That's true. Gymnastics is good for every kid. It's the base for all sports, in my opinion. And the agility and the things that you gain from an activity like this is really, you can't really measure it.
Wow. No, you can't. We certainly do appreciate your time you've spent with us over the last 2 days, filling us in, keeping us up to date on what we need to know about gymnastics. Thank you very much, Shane. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.